Hey there! Thanks again for tuning in to another video on my channel. So most of the videos you've seen so far have been all about my van build, and this is still sort of about my van build. So I appreciate you tuning in and catching a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes, because that's what this is going to be, a little bit of behind the scenes look into how I'm getting some of the things for my van done. As you can see by a little teaser of what I'm holding and all of what's next to me is I've made a lot of progress on things for the van. So even though it's been a few weeks since my last video, I've still made a lot of really good progress. So stay tuned. I promise there's going to be more details about all that coming soon. But in this video, again, showing you a little bit of behind the scenes on how some of that happened. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my tools and my processes a little bit for what I've been doing for my woodworking for, again, all that you see behind me and a lot more to come. So in a previous video, you saw me use the tool I'm holding in my hand. It's called the Kreg Rip-Cut. Now this tool lets me attach a circular saw right here on this guide tray, and then really easily I can align the measuring guide to the width I want my cut to be, and I can position this end of the tool directly up against the edge of the wood to get pretty straight cuts. Now, what I've been finding, and maybe this is just the way I've been using the tool, but over longer lengths of cut, I get a little bit of wobble, or I guess I'll call it drift, where especially over the length of a full 8-foot board, because again, the boards I'm using to start from are all standard 4-foot by 8-foot boards. By the end of that 8 feet, I'd see that maybe I'm a 1/4 inch off of what I started with. And you know, a 1/4 inch maybe isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, but when what I'm trying to build, I want to last for years, and to be honestly, like, the straighter the cuts are, the better it's gonna look too. So that just wasn't right for me. So I did see on TikTok and Instagram something. I got the idea and I thought, oh, great idea, let's give it a go. I decided to make my own tool that's gonna help me guide my cuts. So the goal of my tool is to be able to make straighter cuts with my circular saw. Now I've been doing some finer small cuts, and at those detail with a little bit of sanding, I can get the straightness I need, but over, again, the length of 4 foot to 8 feet cuts, I need something else to help me make straighter cuts. So for my circular saw, what I made, and what you'll see here in the time lapses in a bit, is what I'm goofily calling the straight edge 3500, and next to me, the straight edge 7000. Now, the names are because the 3500 is exactly half the length of the 7000. Now, what does this do? Let me show you. So this tool here on the upper side has what I would call, well, I can't say perfectly straight, but it's pretty darn close, as straight as possible, a straight edge here. So that straight edge is going to be a perfect guide for this side of the tooling surface on the circular saw. So essentially, I made this guide where I can position this straight edge here along the line that I want to cut on whatever length, whatever portion of wood that I'm going to be cutting. And all I have to do is guide my circular saw, pressing the tool up against this straight edge, making sure that I'm as flush with this straight edge as possible. And then my cut is going to come out on this line every single time. So I've got to be careful in the way that I align this straight edge to the wood, depending on which side of the wood I'm going to keep. And if you do some woodworking, you'd understand that a little bit. But if not, basically, the saw blade thickness removes material at that thickness of the saw. It's not just cutting perfectly down the middle of the line. Some of that material is disappearing, which means when I make my measurements and when I lay this out, take this tool and align it with where I want to cut, I want to make sure that the side that I want to keep, the side that I'm cutting for, is on this side of the tool, because that side of this straight edge is being, let's say, eaten away by the tool. But again, this edge is not going to change, because every time I cut, this is just the edge of that blade that's already been set, already been cut out, just like in the videos you're going to see here shortly. So all I have to do is align this edge with the line that I want to cut up against, and I'm going to have a straight edge every single time. Now, how does this tool stay in place? Well, simple. With this extra edge here on the back side, I simply clamp down to the material that I'm cutting. And I can clamp down in a few different spots because this lip is along the whole length of the tool. And then also to make sure that there's for sure no drift alongside the wood that I'm cutting, I usually apply a little bit of clamp along the face as I'm cutting and just remove the clamps as I go, making it really easy again to get straight cuts. Now, why did I make 2 tools? Well, my garage just simply is not wide enough to take the 8-foot tool and go crosswise against my garage. Well, at least not with me making it around the tool very easily for what I'm doing. So I made a 4-foot version for the shorter cuts. And then again, double the number in naming and double the length of the tool. An 8-foot version for, again, those longer cuts on the full length sheets of plywood. So I've got my 2 tools, and from here on out, I have no concerns over making straight cuts for everything that's going to be going in the van. Now, I got to use these a little bit on some of the videos that are going to be coming soon. I promise, again, lots of content coming soon. But this is just a really good sneak peek into something I was doing to make my job a little bit easier, as well as up the build quality, honestly. So I'm really excited to keep using these tools. Check out the next couple time lapses on how these came together. Thanks again for sticking around and watching another video in my series. What you didn't see in the time lapse or in any other part of the video was how the tools that I made, my straight edges, got to looking so dark and, well, pretty darn good if I don't say so myself. Well, the plywood that I used, the 1/2-inch plywood, comes looking like this. But in the process of staining some of the other wood that I was cutting in my build, I had an oiled up cloth that I was using as part of applying my Danish oil. And I figured, heck, why not? Might as well apply it to the tools, help them last a little bit longer and look a little bit better. So that's how the tool got to looking so good. Both of them. And I look forward to continuing to use the tool in the other parts of my build. So thanks again for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, throw some comments in, let me know what you thought. I promise more van build videos are coming soon. I've been able to make a lot of progress, like I said, with all that you see behind me. So there's going to be a lot going up and a lot more content coming out soon. So thanks for sticking around. See you soon.